Okay, so now guys, please note that here the agenda of today's session is to understand how actually we do server side validation. So before that, you need to understand that what is client side validation. So there are two ways we can do the validation, and before that also you should be know that what is validation. Then you should know types. Okay, so validation means whenever user is going to enter any data into the Salesforce environment, then whether the information is suitable for the business or not, whether we should allow that data or not to customer is called as validation. That's it, simple. User, end user, customer is going to enter some data, some information into the Salesforce environment, Salesforce org. After that, we have two options to validate. Or in short, let me talk about this. So after that, what we do, we validate, and after that, we either throw error or we actually send the data or we submit the data to the database. Okay, so this process is common in all the technologies, because without validation, how we should allow the data to be in the data should go to the Salesforce database. So this way, whatever customer enters data, we first of all do the validation, data entered, do the validation, and then after that give error or just say accept and go to the Salesforce database. In this validation also, there are two types. Either you can do this validation at client side or you can do this at server side. Remember, whenever you listen the word client in the real-time projects of your job or interview, always remember this is nothing but the browser. Client means browser, on browser level. Server side, server means always it's Apex. Server means Apex class. Okay. So either you are doing the validation on browser level or Apex level, that you need to decide. Now, which one we should prefer? See, first of all, let me talk about the browser level. If you do the validation at browser level, means without going or before you go to Apex class, you are doing the validation at browser level only, and then immediately saying that age is less than 18, error, or country is, let's say, Pakistan, error, or the salary is less than 10,000, error. So this all the things you can actually give at the browser level. Then in this case that is better, because what will happen, unnecessary whatever user is entering the data, such bad data or wrong data what you have will go to the server, and on the server during Apex class you're trying to do some validation, and then you're checking in the code that is if age less than equal to 18, then throw error, etc. Then from server the control will come back. This is a bad approach. Why you are unnecessary wasting your resources and going to server and then checking there and then coming back? Why not here only at the browser level, whatever we see on the browser, why not here only you are checking the things? And that is possible by the concept of, so see here, validating here only on the browser level, not going to server. This process is called as client side validation, and that is done by the validation rule. That is done by validation rule. Now this is what the famous and recommended way is, like not to waste the resources, because it takes lots of resources to connect to server, go to Apex class, and again from that come back. It is wastage of resources. So Salesforce says as much as possible do the validation at validation rule level only. But now, and this is what we do in the real-time project, but the thing is that it's not always possible. Not all the cases or not all the situations are possible to be checked or can be possible to be tested on browser level. We need sometimes make a query to the database, get the data. Based on data, decide whether the validation should be done or not, or based on that data, we should do validation. Or we have some complex calculation. Based on that, we need to decide whether we should throw error or not. Means Customer entered some data, customer data. Now whether to throw error on this data or not, for that first of all we need to make a database query. Now can we do this at the browser level? No, not possible. In the validation rule we cannot make a query. We need to go to server. Or there is a very complex calculation we need to perform. Then no, then also not possible. Or we need to bring the data from other object and then we need to take a decision on that by relationship queries, etc. No, not possible. So that's the reason first of all we need to go to Apex class that is called as server, and there you do whatever you want to do, make a query, make a check, make a complex calculation or performs complex code, and finally you write a condition. If this equal to this, throw error. In all such cases you must do the server side validation because not everything is possible by client side validation. And how to do this, that I'm going to show you now in this topic. And here please note the types of the validation rules or the types of validations you understood. One is the validation, that is the client side validation, that is nothing but by validation rule. And second thing, the second type, let me write A and B, A and B, server side validation by Apex class. In Apex class we can do this validation. Okay, now here what is server side validation? So that you know now, when the control goes to Apex class, then checking the data in Apex and then throwing error. That is what actually we are going to learn here. Then throwing or throw error. That is what we are going to learn today. Okay, so how we can do this? Now I'm going to show you by that pen example only. Okay, so you can use this up, you can apply this information anywhere in your project, your wish, in your job. So let me show you how we can do this here. So let me go for the pen object and let me edit the trigger. So let's say go for Parker pen. So we have seen this already, pen object and the trigger and everything, so that is not new for you. And now let me go for the trigger, click on view fields. Let me open the trigger. Even in the trigger, by the way, you can do this. Okay, so let me just mention here, not only Apex class but also in the trigger you can do that. That's fine if you are working on that. Okay, but preference is Apex class. Okay, but even we can do in trigger, but still we can do in trigger as well, but preference is to do this in Apex. Why? Because you know very well, already we discussed in the previous session, the logic should be written in Apex, not in trigger. Trigger is only for redirection purpose. So let me open the trigger. Okay, so I'll do one thing, whatever trigger is there, I'm just going to modify this. And I will do one thing, I will modify the trigger and just to make it simple, or let it be like this, no problem, and go to the pen class demonstration. So go to pen class demonstration and I will put the validation code there. So let me go for the pen class demonstration and let me do the needful. Just give 1 second. So whatever data is there, I'm going to remove this data. Or let it be also, no issues, because there also we can modify. So right now we have code, depending on the various price of the pen, we are giving various discount, right? So now there is one more enhancement customer told, and customer said that some people are actually mentioning the value of the pen or the price of the pen equal to 0 or minus. How it's possible? So at that time I want to throw error. Okay, now let's do the same activity here at the client server side. Okay, so that we can learn here how we can throw error. So let's else if, and then after that else if suppose p dot price underscore underscore c is less than equal to 0, means 0 minus 1 minus 2 etc. Now how it's possible, how price can be negative? So I'm going to throw error here, and that is possible by this way. One way is p dot add error. This function you are going to use, that is by default in every record will come, please enter valid price. That's it, simple. This way you can do. Okay, now see what's going to happen. Click on quick save. Please enter a valid price. Quick save, and now see what's going to happen. So first of all, let me see whether the trigger is activated. No, trigger is not activated right now. So first of all, let me activate, otherwise how it will work. So activate the trigger and quick save. And now it's time to enter a record. So let us see by adding a record in trigger. Where is Parker pen? Click on Parker pen. And click on new. Okay, so let's enter the value. Let's say customer name is Harry or whatever is the name, price equal to 10, and discount information. Click on save. It should not throw any error because it's a valid price. Yes, there is no error. Now let me do one thing. Let me now create another record. Click on Parker pen and click on new. Now this time I'm going to mention, let's say Peter, and price equal to, let's say, -2, and that's it. And now I'm going to click on save, see what's going to happen. And yes, it's working. You can see please enter valid price. This kind of check we are doing at the server side. This is called as server side validation. Very regularly you are going to use in your job, and that is very useful in many advanced calculations or check. Now there is one way of throwing error by writing at the top. You can also write this message near the field. That's also possible. Okay, near the field also possible. Now how we can do this? Let me show you. Go back to the same code. This will do what? This will actually at top. It will throw error. I will comment this, and I will write another code that will be near field. So p dot. Now mention the field name. Field name is price underscore underscore c dot. Now you mention add error. Here you mention add error. And now let me copy this and paste it here. Okay, and now see what's going to happen. Click on quick save. Now let's create the record, and let me cancel, and let me click on new. And the customer name is let's say Harry or whatever the name. Price is now -3, and save. Look at this. Now it is coming near the field. So this way you have control to decide whether you want to throw error here or you want to throw error here. And this way, in many cases in the real-time project, you are going to give control to your developers, or like you are going to get the controls as a developer where you can do some kind of strong kind of or complex calculation at the server side and throw error. If it is very simple, age less than 10, salary more than 20,000, etc., then you can easily do at client side by validation rule also. So this is actually called as the server side validation. Very famous, Just you need to use the function add error, by default present. You don't need to do anything for this. Okay, everyone is clear? Everyone clear? Got the concept? It's pretty much straightforward. And just you need to use that add error. Okay, and the condition, the logic, at what situation you want to throw error, that is important. Great, fine, all looks clear.